Welcome back to another episode of Rewiring Health. Very excited to be joined by Gabby Jockers. Thank you so much for coming, and I'm so excited to have this conversation with you.
Thanks so much, Kelly. I'm really excited to be here and to dive into all these really important topics that we definitely need to talk more about in our society.
Oh my gosh, so true. And I just love what you do. And that's why I'm so excited to have you on here, because you do this in such a unique way. And I can't wait to hear more about it and just give people another option for accepting themselves and just the beauty of what they are innately as themselves. So do you mind talking about your journey of how you got started and where that has brought you to what you do today, and how that brought you to where you do today?
Sure. So anytime somebody asks me this question, they're going to get a completely different answer because that's how my brain works.
Yes.
So if I think about how I got started and how I got to where I am today, I start thinking about when I first started getting exposed to yoga. And though my first experience with yoga was through asana, the postural practice, what you think of when you hear of like yoga classes, doing a bunch of poses on the mat. Though that was my yoga practice for a few years after going through teacher training and opening my eyes to the immense depth of a spiritual and philosophical practice of yoga and learning that the poses are only a tiny fraction of what is actually yoga. That has, let's just say it was deeply transformational, became a part of my life, and influenced my worldview and my approach to basically everything. So that is a really important part, because that is something that I bring into the work that I do now, which got started in 2019 or so, when I was just like so tired of working for other people. I was like, it's time. I'm going to start my business. My partner had just gotten his master's degree, and I was, like the breadwinner during that time. And I was like, okay, dude, it's my turn. Go make some money so I could go start my business. Let's take turns. It's the benefit of our relationship. We take turns.
Absolutely.
And so I started in photography. I didn't actually start in boudoir photography. I started in weddings, and then COVID happened and it completely crippled my business at launch. And that ended up being a really good thing for me in the long run, even though it super sucked in the moment, that was a long moment. It super sucked, but it ended up being a really good thing, because what it did was it gave me a lot of space to fill. And how did I fill that space? A lot of bullshit, but also a lot of important stuff of self-reflection and learning and that kind of stuff. And through those years, I really worked hard, mostly through 2020, I really worked hard on diving inward and discovering my values and my why and my purpose and the reason why I want to have a business, and the reason why I want to work with people, and the reason why, all this kind of stuff. Why? I ask a lot of why questions. My parents were really annoyed by it growing up, but you know what? It got me to where I am today. So no regrets, right?
Absolutely.
And through that process, I realized wedding photography was not at all something I wanted to do for a number of different reasons. And it was actually a friend of mine who invited me multiple times to try boudoir photography. You'd be so good at it. You would love it, la, la, la. And at first I was like, no, I'm busy. I wasn't that busy, but I was just like, I needed an excuse. Yeah. When I finally did it, it was like something clicked. And I was like, hold up, this is actually really important. This is really important to me. This is really important to the people I'm working with. And I started uncovering the connection between my why and my purpose and my values in boudoir photography was much stronger than wedding photography. And it kind of led me down that path of boudoir photography and how it can help you connect to your body and connect to your heart, connect to your spirit, connect to your breath, connect to yourself. And as I kept on focusing on boudoir photography, investing more time and effort and learning in that area, and at the same time continuing my personal reflection, then I was able to start merging my background in like yoga and mindfulness, meditation, all that kind of good stuff into the boudoir world to create something totally unique, something totally different. There's no other boudoir photographer who does what I
Yeah.
do.
Mhm.
Which I feel proud of, because it's not like, oh, I came up with something new and cool. It was just like, oh, I figured out how my work with clients in my business can express my expertise in other areas, could express my values and my purpose in such a way to help them have a more profound experience than just taking some sexy photos.
Yeah.
No problems with sexy photos at all. Those are fabulous. But I just wanted to create something that was a little bit more profound, a little bit more aligned with my expertise and what I knew how to do and what I knew I could help other people with. Because I could take some sexy photos, sure, but I wanted to do more than that. I
Yeah.
wanted to do sexy photos plus an experience that helps you connect deeply to your body, connect deeply to yourself, and reorient the relationship you have with yourself.
Mhm. I love that. And I just love how you focus on the transformation of the person, not just like you said, here's a quick experience, but it's like something that you can take with your life through your
Yeah.
life and start appreciating yourself. And I love how your journey too, it's like you think you're going to go one direction. And it's like you're really destined for something else, but you had to go through those trials and tribulations to find what your purpose was. And
Absolutely.
I just love that but it was like so perfect for combining all your values and all your strengths. And I just love that you did that. It's
Yeah,
amazing.
it ended up being perfect. And the same thing with the card deck, the body deck that I have. It was launched last year. And that was also just this perfect expression of values and purpose and art, creativity, all
Yeah.
this kind of fun stuff. That just ended up being the perfect expression slash culmination of all those things as well. That is so complementary to the work that I do in boudoir, but a much more accessible price point and a much more everyday practice.
Mhm. Absolutely. Do you mind talking on that a little bit more and just letting people know what the body deck is and how it can help them?
Absolutely. The body deck is a affirmation card deck I co-created with my childhood best friend, Melissa. She did a lot of the design. I provided a lot of the photos. You'll find a lot of boudoir photos in there. Don't worry, nothing PG-13 or R-rated or anything like that. It's all like, there's no nudity in the deck.
Mhm.
So it's fine for, smaller humans as well, younger humans.
Mhm.
Um, and it has 77 cards, 77 different affirmations. And we created this because, again, that values fit. So my friend has a career, has a small child, has a practice that she was finding really hard to keep up with her self-care and her um, self-building practices while mega stressed out at work and also raising a small child.
Mhm.
And so she used a lot of card decks, but none of them were quite what she wanted. There were no card decks that were focused on her relationship with her body and setting positive
Mhm.
intentions, that kind of stuff. They were more, they had different specialties, anything from tarot to other kinds of decks
Mhm.
or generic affirmations, not generic, like not good, but generic, like not specifically focused on the body.
Yeah.
And so she came to me with this idea for the card deck, and it was just such a perfect complement to what I already so strongly believed in. And it
Mhm.
was also just a really fun project. Just the process of creating so many affirmations. We spent, I don't know, maybe like 6 months or something,
Mhm.
just creating the affirmations, just putting everything that both of us have learned combined in our own personal growth, self-love, body confidence journeys. And she is a registered dietitian who works with eating disorder patients in recovery. And so she had a lot from that side to bring into it. And I had a lot from the boudoir and body image and mindfulness and body connection side of it to bring into it. So it ended up being a really beautiful way to express the positive beliefs that we had cultivated in ourselves and share those with others so that they could also start cultivating those beliefs in themselves, because I'm a big believer that we have way more control over our minds than we give ourselves credit to.
Totally. Mhm.
And affirmations are just one of the many ways that you can alter your thinking patterns
Mhm.
and alter your beliefs in ways that better support you rather than hold you down.
Yes. Oh, I love that. And it's so true. I mean, to be able to have a tool that you can use, like I love the concept of it. I love how you both came together and with your expertise and did that. And especially since you're childhood friends, that's so cool. But
It was really fun.
yeah, that's really awesome. I love that. And I just love the whole purpose of it because we do have so much control over our brains and how we move forward in life. And if we have these limiting beliefs and these subconscious beliefs that are holding us back, we're going to move in that direction. And if we're bogged down by negativity, we're just allowing ourselves to continue to move that direction. But if you're giving yourself an ounce of, starting small, even if it's just one card a day, like starting with something that is positive and uplifting and bringing up your energy. I mean, what an awesome gift to yourself every day to do that. So I love that.
Yeah. And I always like to give the caveat that I do firmly believe that we have so much more power over our minds than we give ourselves credit to, while also giving a shout out to the fact that a lot of people do have a lot harder time than others, whether it's through their own maybe chemical imbalances or through their circumstances, the families, the neighborhoods, the communities that they grew up in. So, just like to mention it, it's going to be a different journey for everyone. And some people are coming at it from a much more disadvantaged position to begin with. But I believe it can be helpful to anyone, no matter where you're at. It just might, your journey is going to look different depending on where you're coming from, where you're going to, and where you're at right now.
Yeah, I agree. It's such an important point to make too, because, for anyone who's listening to this, you may be in a really tough place right now and feel like, okay, well, will this work for me? And it is important to acknowledge that, you can't compare yourself to someone else's journey because you uniquely have these experiences and what you've gone through, and only you know what that looks like. But again, if you can take the smallest step forward, then that's important to do, to move yourself in a different direction. So yeah, great point to make, because again, it is very individualized and everybody has their own path that they need to go on. Yeah, I love that. Kind of going off of that, can you talk about how we can heal body image through mindfulness? So I know you have a lot of that in your practice, and I just love how, you've incorporated that into the photography and how you meld that together. But can you talk about how we can heal our own personal views of our bodies through being just mindful of them?
Absolutely. So I'll start with describing what is mindfulness for people who maybe have heard the word before, but are not quite sure, for people who have never heard this word before. And don't come at me with, that's not what this textbook says, or that's not the scientific quote exactly of blah, blah, blah. That's not how my memory works. I'm never going to be able to spit out exact quotes from experts and like stats and figures. But basically at the core of it, mindfulness is an awareness of what is currently going on with you without judgment. That's a really, really, really important part of mindfulness. Mindfulness isn't just saying my back hurts, or I feel bloated, or my neck feels weird, or whatever. Okay, here, this is a good example, especially for probably for your listeners can probably relate to this example. I'll describe what is awareness and what is mindfulness, maybe. Awareness might say, wow, my jeans are fitting really tight. Oh, my belly roll is hanging over my jeans. Oh, this is so gross. Or, oh, I hate this. Or, oh, I need to go on a diet. You might be aware of the fact that your jeans no longer fit you, that your body is spilling out over the edge of your jeans, and that there are these things going on. And then you attach this judgment. What does it mean about you? It means you need to go on a diet. It means you need to lose weight. It means blah, 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 blah. It means you didn't try hard enough at exercise or whatever. That is not mindfulness. Mindfulness is being aware of these things without judging the fact that they exist. So these jeans are fitting really tight. The mindful approach might be like, these jeans are fitting really tight. I'm not super comfortable. Maybe I should grab another pair of pants that fit. That made me feel more comfortable. I'm not putting judgment on my body for not conforming to this arbitrary measure of this stupid pair of jeans. Like, sorry, but the jeans need to fit me. I don't need to fit the jeans. The jeans are an inanimate piece of fabric. I am a little bit more important than an inanimate piece of fabric. My body does a lot more for me than an inanimate piece of fabric.
Mhm.
But mindfulness is an awareness of what you're feeling, where you're feeling it, both physically and emotionally, sensations, feelings, these kinds of things, an awareness without judgment. You're not
Mhm.
making it mean anything about you. You're not making it mean that you didn't try hard enough or that you're lazy or that you need to try harder or that you messed up. It just is.
Mhm.
It's just what's happening in the moment.
Mhm.
That's what mindfulness is. This is awareness without judgment.
Yeah, I
And
love
I think that without judgment is a really important piece for how this can relate to body confidence, body image, that kind of stuff. And I think it also has to do with, I don't know if you talk to your audience about like body neutrality versus body positivity and that kind of stuff. Oh, oh no, it froze.
but yeah, I've had guests that have spoken on that before. Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. So a nice thing, I think body neutrality is so amazing. And it has a lot to do with mindfulness because it is taking away the judgment element of how we feel about our bodies. So I noticed I came from this, but I feel like there's a lot of different relationships people have with their bodies. A lot of different places they're coming from. Some people are coming from the hate side of the spectrum, or like everything is a flaw, everything is a problem. I came from the complete disconnection side of the spectrum of just like, what is my body? I don't know. I just live in it and I exist. I
Mhm.
had no awareness of how you could ask me how I'm feeling and I could tell you fine because I didn't know anything more beyond that. So it's not that I had a really negative relationship with my body, it's that I didn't have one. I did not
Mhm.
have much of a relationship with my body at all. I simply used and abused it,
Mhm.
let it, like, didn't really care how I treated it because it didn't really register on my radar so much
Mhm.
unless I like injured myself.
Yeah.
So for me, mindfulness helped me connect to my body so I could better appreciate it for what it does for me. That's
Mhm.
that body neutrality piece because body positivity says loving how you look. Body neutrality is loving your body for what it does for you. It's a more neutral approach that, you don't have to look a certain way. Your body doesn't have to look a certain way to be worthy of appreciation, of gratitude, of respect, of compassion, these kinds of good things. So very roundabout way of answering your question. I believe that when we can connect to our bodies in a mindful way with that key piece without judgment, that gives us the opportunity to see and experience our bodies with new eyes in a more fresh way. That gives us the space in our minds to experience what's it like to be in our body, what's it like to be in our body when it feels good, when it feels not so good, and learn from those experiences so that rather than heaping judgment on yourself for, like, let's say you eat something that makes you feel weird, rather than making it a judgment about, oh, I messed up or whatever, more of a notice of like, when I ate that like giant bucket of fried chicken, I kind of felt bad for a day or so afterwards. Maybe I should, know, not do that
Mhm.
because I want to feel good, because I want my body to feel vibrant and alive and not bogged down under whatever gas, whatever that makes you feel, right? So definitely not my most succinct answer to that question. So sorry for that.
That's okay. No, it's okay. No, you touched on so many important points. And I just love the distinction you made between awareness and mindfulness, because I know so many people have probably heard those terms and thought they were exactly the same, or maybe didn't even know what mindfulness is. And yet you hear it all the time, be mindful, be mindful. And you're like, okay, what does that mean? So thank you for giving those definitions and making them so practical and applicable to how you can live your life. And one thing that really just stuck out to me as you're speaking is like the difference between having compassion for yourself versus almost punishing yourself
Mhm.
for different things, and also having the recognition that you are worth more than any, anyone else's perspective on what your body is, or, that just to value yourself in such a way that you treat it well and treat your body well and treat your brain well. And I love all that, the messages you brought with that, because it is so important. I know so many people that, I was in that place, and I'm sure many, many women have been in that place where they just come down on themselves over and over and over again. And it's like, when we attach that emotion, we, like you said, the jeans example, you feel the jeans, and then now you start applying that judgment to it. And then when that replays over and over and over again, that now becomes that dialogue that just stays. And it
Exactly.
becomes who you are when you have that. And you actually wire your brain to believe that you're not lovable, or you're not worthy. And those things stick when it's constantly replaying. So such a good point to make, that it's like, you don't need to fit a pair of, cotton jeans or whatever. Like, it's not worth it. So thank you for sharing that.
And
And
another note on what you just said, mindfulness also applies to these repetitive thought patterns that we find ourselves repeating to ourselves. In yoga and in neuroscience, there's this concept of neural pathways. In yoga, they're called chitta vrittis, like the thoughts that you have over and over again. And in yoga, in neuroscience, it's neural pathways. And what both ancient yogic scholars and practitioners and modern neuroscientists have both agreed on and both discovered is that you can change those. That's why I'm such a big believer that you can change our mind. So the mindfulness really helps us bring awareness to the repetitive thought patterns that do not help us, because people are split on this, that, well, if I stop criticizing myself, then I'm just going to get lazy and I'm going to stop improving myself. But it's like, when was the last time that you called yourself curse, bleep, bleep? What actually help you? When's the last time that you spoke to yourself in a denigrating way actually helpful for you? Versus when you can look at yourself, and even if you do make a mistake, even if you do something dumb, we all do that. If you can look at that and say, whoa, I kind of messed up. Not I am a mess up, but I kind of messed up. Let me learn from this because I know I can do better. I know I'm better than this, right? There's such a subtle but distinct difference when our thoughts are tearing us down versus when they are just like purely honest and building us up. And we can believe great things about ourselves without it turning us into narcissists, which I think is another fear that a lot of people carry, especially those who have had contact and maybe trauma from narcissists, is that, well, if I don't criticize myself, then it's just going to mean I'm super arrogant and narcissist, and I just think I'm better than everyone. So I've got to keep myself down. But that's not how it works. It's not, no.
Yeah.
No. So mindfulness helps us bring awareness to those thought patterns and look at them from a less, like, again, non-judgmental. So not judging yourself for thinking, oh, I'm so stupid and lazy, but rather asking ourselves, like, am I really stupid and lazy? And does it really help me to continue to tell myself that I'm stupid and lazy? Like, is that honestly helping me? Just from a neutral perspective, like, whatever happened, but like, am I really helping myself right now? Versus, oh, I called myself stupid and lazy, I'm a fuck up, I can't do this right. So the without judgment part of the mindfulness is super essential.
Yeah. Oh, totally. And it's so many things I want to touch on there, because again, it's so true. And like, I know I've experienced this. It's like, when you are hard on yourself, you almost believe that if you let up on the gas pedal, that things are going to spiral out of control, and you feel like you'll have no control of your life. But it's actually, research has showed the complete opposite, is when you actually celebrate your successes and recognize how far you've come, you actually get more dopamine in your brain that then increases drive, increases motivation. So you have to celebrate yourself, because neurologically that is actually increasing your drive, versus when you come down on yourself, you are only going to focus on what did not go well. And then you're not going to move yourself in a direction that serves you. So
it's also going to suck. Like, it's going to not feel good ever. It's just going to suck.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You're just going to meet resistance in everything you do when you're at a lower energy. Like, life is just harder when you're constantly berating yourself.
Yeah.
And And it's again, the way our brains work is that when we set an intention to see what's good in us, we actually filter out everything that doesn't apply to that. So if
Mhm.
we set the intention, like I'm going to recognize everything that I do well, it's part of that reticular activating center. It moves us in that direction and then filters out the noise. But if we're always talking about everything we do wrong, we're berating ourselves, like that's what the brain is going to focus on and then filter out the good in your life. So it is a subtle thing, but it makes all the difference. So
It's the
yes.
neural pathway that you choose to water versus the ones you prune. Let's
Mhm.
prune down the ones that are just self-defeating and self-critical because they're not supporting us in our highest expression of who we can be on this planet, in our communities, in our relationships, in our work. And instead, let's water the ones that are supportive of our greater goals and of our best version of ourselves. And this is a part that gets a lot of people stuck in the beginning when it feels inauthentic.
Mhm.
Right? It feels inauthentic to look in the mirror and you have this really negative relationship with your body, to look in the mirror and say, I'm so beautiful, or I look great, or I look healthy, or like whatever. It feels so authentic when to say something positive to yourself, when you're so habituated to saying things negative to yourself, that doesn't mean it's
Mhm.
just because it feels inauthentic, just because it feels unnatural, does not mean it's not right or it's not worth doing. It's going to feel awkward
Mhm.
for a while until you have repeated the beliefs and the thoughts that you want to cultivate much more. You have gotten to that tipping point where you've repeated the beliefs that you want to cultivate much more than the ones that you want to replace.
100%. It's almost like if you're right hand dominant and then you go to use your left hand to eat or brush your hair, it's going to feel so weird and
Yeah.
awkward. But the more you do it, the more those pathways gain strength and they get wired to make it more efficient. And now it feels more natural. So it's going to feel super uncomfortable because it's totally out of your wheelhouse. It's something you've never done before. But I
Mm,
completely agree. It doesn't make it any less important. You have to start somewhere and kind of work through that discomfort to get to the place where you feel like, okay, this actually is resonating with me now. So
absolutely.
important. Going off of that, I would love to hear a story of transformation of someone you've worked with who maybe came in for a photo shoot and maybe was not feeling confident in their body or was very negative, had a lot of negativity towards themselves. And then they went through the process that you have them go through and then came out on the other end feeling much more confident. Do you mind just sharing a story?
Yeah, and I won't use names just to protect the
Sure.
privacy of my clients,
Mhm.
but I have there's certain things that a lot of people end up saying to me.
Mhm.
So one client who came in, I have a lot of clients who are all over the spectrum. I represent a lot of different body types on my website. So I often have clients in bigger bodies who find me because I'm like the only, not the only, actually, there are other great photographers in my area who do showcase diversity, which is wonderful and I love it.
Mhm.
Um, but oftentimes I do have clients come to me in bigger bodies saying, well, I saw people who look like me on your website.
Mhm.
So I want to come in. So I had one client who felt that way. And I had actually met her before. And then she finally felt like she was ready to do something like a boudoir photo shoot. And she was also dealing with some health issues. And, any of your listeners who deal with health issues will automatically know that when your body feels like it's failing you or struggling and you just want it to feel good and it just won't no matter what you do, that is really, really challenging and really, really real. And no amount of positive thinking is going to change the fact that you're ill. Uh,
Right.
it might help your immunity, actually. It might
Mhm.
help your body heal, but it's, just saying, I love my body is not going to automatically cure it.
Mhm.
So this client had some mysterious, many many people have just this pain that they can't explain. They don't know where it comes from. Doctors aren't super helpful. They don't know where it comes from either. You have to do all these tests. It feels very invasive. And this client was dealing with a physical condition that was not explained. And it made her feel like shit for sometimes days at a time. And it made it hard for her to participate in her work, to participate in life. And it made it hard for her to feel confident, to feel sexy in her body, because she had such a, her body wasn't cooperating with her very well at the moment, or at least, you know, she didn't know what was going on. So she came in for her session, and at the end, some of the things that she said, without reading this whole thing, just to kind of paraphrase it, some of the things that she said was like, I look like me in all the photos, but the best version of me. Because a lot of people are also really worried. A lot of people get really worried coming into a boudoir photo shoot that what if I don't look like me? You know, what if the hair and makeup or the photographer edits me and makes me look different, like they change the shape of my body or something like that. That's definitely a very real concern a lot of people have coming in. So she said, I look like me in all the pictures, but the best version of me. And then all this stuff that isn't quite relevant, talking about the experience and whatever, but just having a good time and having great photos to remember the day and remind me that I am confident, beautiful, and sexy. These things that she wanted so hard to feel, but struggled to feel them in her body coming into the experience because of what was currently going on with her. And just that reminder that no matter what's going on with her on any given day, whether it's a good day or a bad day, she is a confident person. She is a beautiful person. She is a sexy person. And her body, that's true for both her body and her heart, you know? So that's kind of like totally paraphrased. But that is a very common situation, like very common type of transformation. I don't see my role as changing people. I see my role as helping people express who they are so that they can remember. Because it's really easy to forget sometimes how incredible we are when we are surrounded by a society who likes to tell us we're not. Because of what we look like, because of how we feel, because of whatever illness or disability we're dealing with. And so I really see my role as helping individuals connect deeply to their bodies using the breath and the mindfulness, physical sensations and stuff like that, as a bridge between their body and their heart, and giving them a space to just genuinely express who they are and be who they are, and using a camera to capture that so that I can give them a book afterwards that says, hey, here's your reminder. Whenever you're feeling down, whenever you're feeling insecure, whenever you're feeling ugly, or whatever it comes up, whenever you're feeling like you're not the absolute best person that you are, look at this reminder of who you are, because you are incredible. You are magic. You are gorgeous. Your personality, your body, all of it is worthy of love and celebration. So just keep your photo. This is why I specialize in physical products. That I'll never do digital only for boudoir, because the products are so important. Having this book, having this artwork that shows your body and is your reminder of your maximum greatness. Not even maximum. Like you can go more. Like, there's no way I'm gonna put a cap on. No way. But that show you when you felt the most relaxed, when you felt the most respected, when you felt the most mindful and connected to your body, to show you who you were at that point and remind you that you can always get back to that point.
I love that. It's almost like your cue for internal acceptance. Like you see that and you're like, okay, I am enough. I don't need somebody outside myself or something to tell me that I am. Like, I'm always enough. And no matter what's going on, especially the example you gave, because there are so many people that do struggle every single day. And especially many of the people that listen to this podcast are genuinely struggling and have for maybe years or decades. And to give that example is just so powerful. Here you have a woman who understands that, is going through really, really tough things and can still find that inner love for herself. And I love that. What a
Give
gift.
space for it. And
Mhm,
even it's such a good reminder, even on the days that you are feeling like crap again, to be
mhm,
like, this is not the whole of who I am.
mhm.
I
That's
am not this illness. I am not
mhm.
feeling this way. I am so much more. I might be ill and I might feel this way right now, but that does not define the whole of who I am.
So true. Oh my gosh, yes. Because once we start saying we are something, then that's a game changer. It can be a game changer for in a good direction, or it can be a game changer in a really negative direction. So understanding that differentiator in that you are so much more, you just happen to have an illness. You're not your
Mhm.
illness. And such a it's a nuance, but it's such a critical nuance to understand, because you can't be defined by the things that have happened to you. You are more than that. You are resilient, you're beautiful, and you're able to create the life that you want, regardless of what's happening outside of yourself. So I just love that. Amazing. And I hope I know this will resonate with so many people to start seeing themselves hopefully in a different light, and recognize that no matter what messages you've received that you're not enough, you truly are. And it is about connecting with yourself and figuring out how you can authentically feel that inside. I love it. And I feel like we could talk all day. For anyone though who wanted to connect with you, maybe have a photo shoot, I know you're in Colorado, but for anyone who wanted to at least reach out to you, how can they connect with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So my Instagram is at Embodied Art Boudoir. Jokes on me for putting this weird French word in my company name. Haha. So it'll be in the show notes, I'm assuming.
It will.
So just click on the show notes
Yeah.
because sorry for making such a difficult to spell handle. That's my bad.
That's so funny. But you know what? People might remember it because they're like, oh, it was that word.
Yeah, Embodied Art Boudoir. And it's so funny, even the name of my company came to me when after after journaling on my purpose and then meditating for 20 minutes, it popped into my head. I'm
Yeah.
making embodied art.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing. Get embodied, make art. That's your
Mhm.
reminder of your magic, your glory.
Yeah.
So you can find me on Instagram. My website is also embodiedartboudoir.com. If you go on my Instagram, the link in bio, you can find my card deck. You can also find it, the body deck, by typing soulea.co into your browser. So soul, like your soul, SOULEA, soulea.co.
Mhm.
And that'll take you to our Etsy shop, which has the card deck, which I find to be just a much a daily mindfulness practice for setting that positive intention with your body. So I really like the card deck, especially for people who are in a more difficult position, a more habitually negative thought pattern around their bodies. Somebody might give you the advice, create some affirmations, but if you're not used to thinking positively about your body, you're like, you would have no idea where to even start.
Mhm.
So there's 77 different affirmations that no matter where you're at in your journey can help inspire you to think of your relationship with your body in new and positive, productive, compassionate, and respectful ways. So it's really great if you don't have that foundation of positive self thinking and positive self beliefs. It's really great for helping build that foundation as well.
Yeah, such a good point, because when we do have a negative brain, it's like so foreign to think of anything that's not that. So to have this guidance is huge. And again, it's that small little thing, just taking us whatever step you can forward is so important. So
A tiny baby step, like
mhm,
one tiny baby step, reading an affirmation card that you're
mhm,
like, that's not true. Oh, yeah, my body's amazing. That's not true. Even if you just read it every day, that you're basically training your brain to think in these ways. Even if it,
mhm,
like I said, even if it doesn't feel like a belief yet, you're training your brain to think in these positive ways. And the more you do it, it's a cumulative action.
mhm,
It's a
totally.
cumulative results as well. It may
Mhm,
take a while. I'm never going to be somebody out here promising a quick fix, instant results, like instant transformation, suck
mhm,
to great, like any of that. I won't, I hate that shit. I'm not going to fool
mhm,
anyone trying to tell you it's going to be an instant result. But what I can tell you is that if you do put in tiny little efforts every
mhm.
day, every week, put in tiny little positive efforts that support you, you will in 5, 10 years look back and thank yourself so much for doing that.
I
because
couldn't agree
then you
more.
will notice the difference. I only noticed the difference after 5 to 10 years.
Mhm.
That's when I started really noticing the difference of my practice in the way that my brain was functioning. The way my brain works now is so different
Mhm.
before, and honestly, I have way more fun now. It's way more fun, way more
Yep.
happy,
Mhm.
way better. So just
Yes.
do it for future you down the road. Do it for people in your community and in your families. It's worth it.
Oh my gosh, I couldn't agree more. I am such a huge advocate for the compound effect. Like
Mm,
those small things add up and they genuinely do. And I'm right there with you. I'm not a quick fix person because it took a while for you to wire your brain this way. It's going to take a while to get it to a different
right.
place, but it is worth every single second that you invest in yourself, every single second to move yourself in a different direction. And start now. That's the big thing.
Start
Start
now.
now. You don't expect, like I'll wait until this happens for me to start. No,
No.
start imperfectly. And
Yes.
yeah. And you will, like you said, you will thank yourself. You may thank yourself in a month from now. Like you will see a
Yeah.
small change. So I love that. And I will put everything in the show notes so that you can get the body deck and connect to Gabby. And thank you so much for being here. I genuinely enjoyed this conversation with you.
Thanks so much, Kelly. I'm so grateful for what you're doing for all your
Oh,
listeners,
thank you.
because that just, man, if we can improve our body image, the amount of changes it makes for the other parts of our lives
Oh my
is
gosh.
pretty dramatic.
100%. Absolutely. And it starts there. And then that's a catalyst for so many more changes. So I could not agree more.
So thank you
Absolutely.
what you do, and thank you for inviting me on.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being here.